Hey, it's Trevor Newlin. I'm an Alien Romulus and Smile 2, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There podcast. I'm super excited for this upcoming interview. We are excited to be joined by an actor who burst onto the scene this year in two of the biggest horror films of the year, Mr. Trevor Newlin. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great, man. Trevor, we like to start all of our interviews just asking, what is it that got you into acting? Was that always your career path?
No, so funny enough, I actually wanted to be a paleontologist when I was growing up. I loved Jurassic Park growing up, and I wanted to get into, going to dig up dinosaur bones and study dinosaurs. I still love dinosaurs to this day. But I kind of found the world of acting, I would say, around middle school. I was doing like interpretive readings for like books and things. And then when I got into high school, I got into the theater world. And then from there, I always had a love for wanting to get into like voiceover and radio and things like that. So I made the move after I did community college back home, did theater. I made the move to Los Angeles to pursue that. And then I kind of just fell into the world of creature acting and wearing suits and prosthetics and things like that honestly by accident.
Awesome, mate, dude. You have a great voice, so I think you got a promising career in voiceover as well, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
But like we mentioned in the intro, you were in two huge horror movies this year. Let's start with Alien Romulus. How did you get that role?
So I had worked with Legacy Effects on a commercial a couple years ago for a Yeti. It was for Amazon. And it was more so just a thing of, hey, we have this role. We're gonna bring you in. We'll kind of see what happens, and it ended up being for Alien Romulus. So it was more so just because I had worked with them in the past that it kind of led to me getting put up for Romulus.
Wow, absolutely. And speaking of Romulus, Fede Alvarez, is one of the best new horror directors going right now. How is he to work with? And what makes him so great to work with?
I think the fact that he loves the Alien franchise is first and foremost, but he also just loves to make things real and practical, right? Like the amount of love and care that he put into not just, with the cast, the crew, but the sets, all the creatures. Giving life to kind of like, what Alien and Aliens did, right? And the films after that, giving life back to that franchise of like, okay, here is this real thing that people can touch and see, and here is this real creature that people can, interact with and be around. It just changes things so much. And also, practical effects just hold up so much better long term. Like, I believe Alien Romulus 10 years from now is still going to look phenomenal, just as Alien looks phenomenal to this day, in 2024, being from 79, right? So, and also he's a very collaborative person, right? He works really well with, he knows what he wants, but he also works really well with others that are, have ideas and things like that. And he's a really just collaborative individual overall, and just super creative and loves horror. So I can't think of anybody better to kind of like grab the reins and try to and revitalize the Alien franchise, which I believe Romulus has done that, which is super exciting and cool because it just means that there's more stuff that's going to be made along the way in both the Alien franchise and the Predator franchise as well.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Well, Kelly Spaney, he's also on a huge run of films the past couple of years. Talk about her and just the rest of the cast and, just working with everybody on set.
Yeah. So, Kaylee is an absolute, just the sweetest individual. She's also, I have so much respect for her because I think she did pretty much every single one of her own stunts. Like those zero gravity sequences, like she's getting pulled back and forth for hours upon hours doing all that. But also, like I said, like the biggest thing is she was just so kind and so sweet and just so welcoming because, for her, she had been there the whole time. I come in about midway through. Same with most of the cast, right? They had already been there the whole time. But by the end of the film, we can talk spoilers, but all that's left is David and Kaylee and then Robert and myself, right? Because everybody else has died in the film by that point. But no, I got to work with Isabella a lot. She was incredible, super sweet, amazing professional actor. David was absolutely just, you see his performance in Romulus. I think he steals the show overall with what he did with the character Andy. I think that he's going to take off, and it's super exciting, right? Because all of these actors that were in it there was no really big names,
right.
But I think that, all the performances with Archie and Spike and Aileen and Robert as well. Like, I think all of the performances together are really going to help boost their careers, and I'm excited to see where all of them go. And, you've got Isabella, who's in Last of Us. She's going to be in the new Superman film. She's kind of come onto the scene now. Romulus, I think, pushed her. Kayla, with Priscilla and Civil War. She's going to be in the new Knives Out film, which is very exciting. So, and then, David has also done things here and there. And with Aileen, this being Aileen's first film ever is incredible. And I've already seen her starting to take off. So it's really exciting to see that, Fede gave everyone a platform, and that the film performed as well as it did because it helped everybody involved, not just the franchise, but all the actors involved as well.
Well, I mean, you talk about Fede some more. I mean, he really, from what I understand, conducts a family-like atmosphere on set and kind of promotes that. Am I wrong in saying that he had a barbecue on set on one day, for everyone?
He did. He had two barbecues. So the first one I missed because that was the very start of production, but then he had one at the very end when we were kind of wrapping up. But yes, he could cook some food. I will tell you that. He could cook some good Uruguayan barbecue. Absolutely.
Uruguayan barbecue. Okay.
Hey, Trevor. Hey, real quick, just off the record, or off the script.
Yeah,
I've recently gotten into grilling myself. What's your favorite barbecue food?
I mean, you can't go wrong with some ribs, right?
Oh God, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, coming from Texas, barbecue is part of me. So out here, I'm still searching for that barbecue place in LA. I mean, I know you guys have barbecue out there, but Texas barbecue, I don't know. It's different. I always get it when I come home. That and Whataburger. So
big facts. Oh yeah,
we got Whataburgers everywhere here.
Yeah,
and brisket. I mean, you can't go wrong with brisket either. So
I forget Whataburger's not everywhere. So yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Hey, that's prime. I love me some Whataburger too.
Right.
Okay, well, getting back, you talked about the cast. Can you talk to us a little bit, in particularly, more about David Johnson? I mean, you brought him up some. His performance, personally, was one of the best that I've seen out on film in a long time. Mm-hmm. How is he in set or in real life? How talk to us about working with him.
Just a consummate professional. So sweet, so kind. He was one of the first people that welcomed me to the set, which I thought was really cool, and I got to have some really great conversations with him on set and off set as well. But yeah, I mean, you see it in his performance, but he truly just takes the work incredibly seriously and puts out a product, as you can see. I mean, looking at the film, that I think everyone pretty much agrees that he stole the show, and I think the sky is the limit for where he's going to go. And like I said, he's done some things before this, but I think Romulus is really going to help push him further in his acting journey and career, because he's also just an incredible, just kind person to be around.
Oh yeah, he was absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you brought up spoilers. Listen, if you're listening to this, we're going to talk spoilers. Plus, this is an Alien movie.
It's on Hulu at this point, so
yeah,
I mean,
come on.
We're kind of past that, but it's a couple months out now, so I think spoilers are okay.
Yeah, I mean, plus, if you think everybody's alive in an Alien movie, you're crazy. Have
right?
you ever seen an Alien movie? So anyway, talk about portraying the Xenomorph a little bit. He's obviously a horrifying, iconic horror villain. How was it getting in that mindset to play that role? And most of all, talk to us a little bit about the makeup process.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it was a lot of research because I really wanted to kind of go back and look at, all the past suit actors that have been in the suit, right? Tom Woodruff Jr., Badejo. You have Goran from Alien Covenant, even though, you don't hear too much about him. And then I also looked at, because I know Fede loved Alien Isolation, the video game. Mm-hmm. He's a big gamer. So I looked at Stompy, is the nickname they give the Xenomorph in Alien Isolation. I looked at all those movements, and I tried to, bring pieces of those, but also bring myself to the role as well. And then the application process for the whole suit. So it's a full suit. It takes only about 20 minutes to get in. So it's basically a morph suit. And then on days when I was doing stunts, it's a flight harness that goes underneath, that goes over that. Then it's a pair of like shorts and a long sleeve t-shirt as the arms. Then it's kind of like a scuba suit, is like, I guess the best I could describe it. That's kind of what it feels like. It's kind of a very tight suit. That's the whole body. Then it's the chest piece, which has the pipes on the back, the exhaust pipes, and then the neck and the head are one piece altogether. So it's a pretty. And then when a tail was needed, it's basically there's a rope area in the back, and they could just tie the tail on me and then puppeteer the tail for scenes that were needing a tail.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's a big it's a big collaborative effort, and that's the thing I think that, I always want to put across is that yes, I was in the suit, but there's so many other people that help bring that suit to life, whether that's, the people controlling the animatronic part of it, or puppeteering, or giving me direction. When you're a suit actor or a performer, it is a collaborative effort with you, the director, and your team throughout that whole process. So I had an incredible team with Legacy Effects, and it was an absolute blast and honor to be a part of it.
That's awesome, man. Before I ask about your other big horror movie, what was your favorite scene to shoot? Like, that movie is so cool. I love watching Alien. I mean, it's probably my favorite Alien movie, just being honest with you. What was your favorite scene to shoot?
Favorite scene, I think probably favorite and probably most difficult was probably the cocoon scene. Just because that is the reveal of the xenomorph, and to get to shoot that iconic raising of the head, like what Deja does in the first film, where he's in the he's hanging from the ceiling and he raises up, like to kind of get to do that mirrored almost homage shot was, I think, my favorite thing to shoot for sure. But it wasn't easy. Like the cocoon was dark and slimy, and I was dark and slimy, and I was upside down. So, but we made it happen, and it looks incredible, and I love how excited people were when they kind of saw that new part of the Alien life cycle, because you don't ever really see how you get from a chest burster to, a full size xenomorph. So I think that's very cool that Fede brought in a new element that kind of explains, and also with the way that the face huggers were made in this film being 3D printed, and they're a little bit different with, Big Chap's DNA inside of them. It kind of changes it up a little bit and gives you something new that I think a lot of Alien fans have been kind of questioning, how you go from this little guy that, zooms out of somebody's chest to that giant creature in that time period. So I think that was a really cool addition, and just super fun to be a part of that, like, historic part of film in the Xenomorph's life cycle.
Yeah, and before you get into Smile 2, that's something else I wanted to touch on. Was I'm a big Alien fan. I've been an Alien fan since I was a little kid. Now, Nico, there's some other co-stars, and our co-hosts, I'm sorry, in our group that are more new to the Alien franchise. And I think that I've seen Alien Romulus bring together and bridge the two audiences, whereas maybe this new one, the new audience didn't grow up with Alien and maybe can find it a little slow, if I'm being honest. But like Nico mentioned, this is now his favorite Alien movie. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, you brought up Fede wanting to do that, and I think he 100% accomplished that just from a fan's perspective. I love this one just as much as I love Alien or Aliens. And for that to be on par with those two movies that I think are almost perfect sci-fi movies, I mean, that was just a phenomenal accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get the best of both worlds in Romulus. You get Alien, you get that very kind of creepy. You get, I think for me, the biggest thing is you get the xenomorph going back to what made the xenomorph effective and scary, is the fact that you don't quite know where it's at or what it's going to do most of the time. It's not. You do get that more you get more aliens at the end of the film, of course. You get the zero gravity shootout. But it's more of, what made the xenomorph so captivating and scary in the first film is that it was kind of lurking in the shadows always, right? And when you saw it, it was a very brief moment of seeing it, right? And I think that's what makes any horror film creature super effective, is when you don't see the creature for a very long period of time, right? Because that when you do see it, it freaks the audience out. But then when you're not seeing it, you're also building that suspense of, oh, well, where is it? What's it going to do? Those type of things, right? But I also think that it did a really good job of kind of bringing in, for that newer audience of with, Covenant and Prometheus, there are elements of that film in this as well that, either people are going to like or not like. And I've seen that that's kind of what's brought up the most discussion about the film is the ending. And that's good, though. I like that, we're having an Alien film that is now bringing up, kind of those fans together and having that discussion about, oh, what did you like? What did you not like? Because I think that just helps build the franchise and the fan base even more. So I would say this film has a piece of pretty much every Alien film in it, whether it's by shot or, certain things that are going on or certain things that are included. So I think it's just a nice whole whole alien piece of pie that you get of all the films, kind of like a sampler of all those different with some things that Fede threw in that were, unique and to this,
Right.
like the zero gravity, the cocoon birth, all that type of stuff. So I think it's just a really strong film for the Alien franchise, but also just in the horror genre as well, and that's what Fede does so well.
Well, and I think people forget that even anybody that has a problem with your character, for instance, like some old school people that may have an issue with it, people forget that James Cameron, brought a whole new aspect to the xenomorph anyway. I mean, brought the Queen in, brought all kinds of the past to it. Some stuff Ridley Scott didn't even care for.
Well, he made it an action film.
Exactly. Well, that too, yes. But I mean the lore of just the xenomorph period.
Yeah.
So, I think you guys added a whole extra level to that as well. I think you took it to the next chapter, and I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're about to transition to your other huge movie that you were in, but I saw Alien Romulus in IMAX and Dolby Digital here in town. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I had a great time. I was pleasantly surprised because, I'm just not the biggest sci-fi fan personally, but I loved your film, man. But like I mentioned, you were in another huge horror movie this year, and I take pride that you told me that I was the first person to get correct your character in Smile 2.
Yeah.
How did you get that role, man?
So I actually, again, it's one of those, working with people. So Alec Gillis was out on Romulus working on the egg and the chest burster. And he kind of reached out to me and said, "Hey, we have this project, this film we'd like you to be a part of." And that ended up being Smile 2, working with Parker Finn and everybody. And that's kind of how it happened.
Hey, man, it's good to know people. Is that a Smile 2?
It is, yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it is.
That's
awesome.
Man.
I thought it was fitting, It's my newest hat in the collection. I like to collect hats. You can see there's an alien hat back there hanging on the wall and things like that. But I like to collect hats, and I try to bring a new hat to every production I work on, whatever it may be, just to wear. Like when I worked on Smile 2, I wore the Nostromo hat, of course.
Nice.
So I this is the newest one in the collection now.
And speaking of great performances in a movie, Naomi Scott, she was phenomenal. As was the rest of the cast. I think the acting was fantastic. Ray Nicholson, Kyle Gallner, of course. How was it working with them? Any fun stories you'd like to share? I know you're more towards the end, but...
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, pretty much, again, with the alien thing, right? It's very similar. Everybody was pretty much gone by the time I had gotten there. But Naomi Scott was, I mean, I got to see her work with what we did together, but, I mean, getting to see her work the whole film. I mean, I wish the Oscars would recognize horror in a greater light, because she carried that film on her back with that performance. She went through so much as her character Sky Riley, but also as an actor, just mentally and physically. That I think that she deserves all of the credit that she is getting for the film, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why, along with Parker and his vision, that the film is doing as well as it did, and people are saying, which I think personally as well, that it is better than the first film. And the first film is fantastic. I love the first Smile, but I think Parker took everything that he did with the first Smile and really built upon that and made an even bigger film that scares just as much and or more than the first one did. But fun story wise, I think just shooting with her and that final sequence, we had a couple moments of just making sure we're both all right, because I'm inside the big suit and I'm going through it and she's going through it sitting on the floor and all this type of stuff. But yeah, it was fun. What was really cool about Smile 2 is that I got to do a lot more puppeteering, which was a really exciting thing. So Alec's team that was out there, I got to do a lot more. So like when the body goes back at the end of the film, when the hands come through, of course those are my hands. And again, Parker is a massive fan of the Alien franchise, so when we did that bursting of the hands through, he wanted it to look a lot like a face hugger, because he's a it's kind of like his little thing in the, and I mean it's like a face hugger chest burster combination, right? Because it's these hands coming through in the shape of like what a face hugger looks like, but then they're bursting through a chest. But yeah, that was just super fun getting to do a little bit more and kind of gain a bigger appreciation for what Alec and everybody else on his team does as well, besides me being in the suit and acting that way. So that was really cool. I think that was for sure probably my favorite thing, and something, I hope I can continue to learn more about as I do more work in the space of this world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to follow up real quick. And like you mentioned about Naomi Scott and the Oscars, I definitely think she deserves to be mentioned. Like horror, like you mentioned, doesn't get recognized. Not only did she do great acting, but she sung, she danced, choreography. I read that she wrote a lot of the music she sang.
Yeah.
I think her and Hugh Grant from Heretic were two of the best performances I've seen all year. They were so good.
Yeah. And she drank a lot of Voss water as well.
Yes, she did.
A lot of Voss water. That was not sponsored. But she drank a lot of it.
I was wondering if that was a product placement or what was going on with that.
She just drank a lot of water.
I guess it is bougie, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, you started talking about him. Elaborate a little bit more on working with Parker. He's another rising star in the horror genre as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think much like with Fede, right? Like, and Parker and Fede, I know each other, but Parker is also one of those people that just loves practical effects, right? He loves blood, he loves guts, he loves making things that are going to terrify audiences, but they're going to terrify audiences and be real, which I think makes it even more effective. So yeah, he was just super fun to work with. Very collaborative, had a really cool vision for what he wanted to do with my character and just that ending in general. And I think that, what we ended up putting together was a really, really cool experience for the audience. And fun to be a part of, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not asking which one's better between the two of them by all, but are you talk a little bit about their similarities. What are their differences between Parker and Fede?
Ooh, that's actually really an interesting question. I mean, I didn't get to work with Parker as long as Fede, so I don't feel it's fair to kind of give a full answer to that, just because I worked with Fede much, much longer. I will say, though, they just both love to make things scary, but they love to make things real. They have really cool directorial minds of what they want, and working with their cinematographers, their DPs, they know what they want. And I think they really accomplish what they want. I will say I think Parker probably likes blood more than Fede. I mean, I guess I could say that in regards to Romulus, but you have Evil Dead, which is a gore fest. So,
Right.
So I'll say in regards to Romulus and Smile too that I think Parker was more having more fun with the blood rigs and things like that than Fede did with Romulus, but I don't know what one of them likes blood more, because I know Fede's got a pretty good track record of using a whole bunch of fake blood too in his films. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to give Parker Finn more credit before we move on. If there's one thing, or there's two things I think he's incredible at, and that's the cinematography, his choices of shots. I was mind blown watching Smile 2, like Kyle Gallner's opening scene running through the house.
that one take, yeah.
The aerial shots of the city, I thought they were fantastic. And he's probably one of the best at making a jump scare.
Yeah, there are some really good jump scares in that film. And the thing is, it's some of those like misdirections that get you, because it's like, oh, we're going to have that typical, look at this, there's going to be a jump scare in this, and then the jump scare hits you from the side and you're not expecting that. He does a really good job of just using silence to like draw somebody in, and then he just like will hit you with it, right? And I think they're done in a way that's not corny, right? They're done in a way that are super effective, and they still make sense with the story, and it's not just I'm going to pop out and scare you here, ha ha ha. But and the thing is, you do get a couple of those, but I think they're warranted because of what they're going for those specific scenes. But when he really gets you with a jump scare, like he has planned it out. And I mean, the one I could think of, I won't give too spoiler because it's still a little bit of a fresh film, but the cell phone where Sky is looking at the cell phone. That I think is my favorite jump scare. That or the car headlights in the bedroom.
That's the one I was going to bring when she's looking at her phone. That one scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. They did a really good job.
And the end of the opening scene. Like, that caught me off guard, too. I'm not going to spoil what happens, but
yeah,
that one got me good,
and it's cool, too, that all that is, minus the thing that goes boom is practical, right? Like all the bodies are made, all the guts. I got a chance to see Jeremy, who did pretty much all of the gore effects for the film, right? All the prosthetics and things like that. I got to see into his trailer and see a lot of those mangled bodies and stuff, which were really cool to see. And you know, his art, the artistry that he put in to make something so gruesome, and then for audiences to realize, oh, that was actually made, like that's a real thing, right? So I think I think it's really cool that, you know, had a chance to work with two directors that love practical effects, and I think because of that, number one, the films are doing really well, but also I think the cool thing is because it is all practical and the film's doing really well, hopefully that makes studios realize, like, oh, we can make films that, you know, we put a little bit more time into with what we're doing, but they're going to perform and do well, which overall, you know, makes the studios happy, makes audiences happy, makes people that are working on the films happy, makes the director happy. So everybody's happy at the end of the day, which is fitting because, you know, everybody's smiling at the end of the day, right?
Right.
Yeah, that first Smile had probably one of the top 2 best marketing campaigns I've ever seen.
Yes.
Because, I mean, it was a brand new movie. No one had heard of it. It was new. But the marketing was so good, people flooded to it. And I love that. And hopefully he can be in the next one. So I'm sure there's got to be another one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Parker has planned for the universe. But it's so cool to see, you know, a director that is so passionate about what he does, much like Fede, have so much success with the, you know, the projects that he's putting out. I think that's such a cool thing. And to be a part of that is a really, really awesome thing as well.
Absolutely. I got the great pleasure of meeting you at Spooky Empire. And another person who I know is a great inspiration to you, a great friend to you, is Doug Jones. I met him as well. One of the nicest people I've ever met. Can you tell our audience more about Doug? He was such a nice person, as was you. And I also heard you had a pretty interesting way you met him. I can't believe he actually did it.
Yeah. I mean, Doug is... I say this. I did a talk yesterday actually at my old college, and they brought up the question about Doug Jones as well. And I told everybody in the audience, I was like, you know, I say this truthfully, but I have never met somebody more caring and loving and kind than Doug in my life. And it's like with everybody, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, he'll sit down, he'll talk with you, he'll spend the time, and I think that's what makes, you know. First off, he's had an illustrious career, right? He's done so many phenomenal films, so many amazing characters that he's been able to portray and become. But he's also remained so humble and just loving and giving to, you know, people that are coming up behind him, right? Like myself, right? But to get to your story about how I met Doug, so I was in college. I was getting ready to graduate college. This is really kind of how I fell into the world of getting into creature acting, right? Being a creature actor and wearing prosthetics and doing that type of acting. I was in a class, and one of my teachers named Phil Kaufman, who actually moderated my Q&A yesterday at school, which is it's so wild how everything kind of connects. But anyway, he was telling me, hey, you have a similar build to Doug Jones. And I was like, Doug Jones? Who's Doug Jones? Because I knew of his work, but I didn't know who Doug was, right? And I think that's a lot of people, right? They know of his work. If you mention a film, they know that, but they don't really know who he is, the face, Doug Jones. So I was like, okay. So I reached out to him on Instagram and LinkedIn. And he responded back to me, and to kind of move the story along, we ended up meeting for lunch at a restaurant here in Los Angeles. And I was super nervous because, you know, I was just coming out of getting ready to graduate college, had nothing under my belt, hadn't done anything in my career. I believe he was just coming off of The Shape of Water winning Best Picture at the Oscars, so that was a pretty big thing. And he sat down, and the nerves instantly went away, and we sat for 3 hours and just visited and talked, and he wanted to know about me and my life and what I wanted to do. And he kind of gave me some tips to kind of help push me towards getting into the world of what I'm doing now, and he's stayed a very close friend from that point on, and been, you know, supportive of my career. And now it was really cool to get to sit 2 tables away from him at my first convention, and it's like, and I'm going to be a part of his documentary that's coming out in a year or so, and that's just it's such a cool thing. But yeah, Doug is a incredible person, and I'm so lucky that, you know, he responded to me, and we've been able to develop the friendship we have, and I'm forever grateful for all the time and advice and knowledge and love he's shown and given me.
Yeah, Doug was super nice. That was an authentic hug, and he was authentic with everybody. I loved meeting him.
Yeah.
And speaking of conventions, I think you mentioned that Spooky Empire was your first. What was your most memorable moment? You know, we like to ask all of our guests who do cons. It can be funny, bizarre, sentimental. Do you plan on doing more conventions?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do more conventions. You know, if people want me to show up at more conventions, I would love to do that. It was just an honor and super exciting for me to meet so many amazing people. The memory easy one. There was this. I'm gonna forget his name right now, so I will remember it later. But there was a tattoo artist that was there. And he came up to me on the first night, and he showed me his sleeve, which was incredible. I think it had like Queen Alien on it, had Ripley, had a Xenomorph, and it was a beautiful, beautiful sleeve. He's a tattoo artist there in Florida, and he had a little spot right here between his knuckles, between his thumb and his index finger, and he gave me a pen. He's like, sign it, and so I signed my autograph, and he said, I'll be right back. And about an hour later, he came back and he had it tattooed. My name tattooed on his hand, and I was like, "That's insane." First off, but I mean, what do you even say about that, right? Like, here's somebody that is literally going to have my name tattooed on them, and for forever, right? So that was definitely the biggest, like, memorable moment. But just getting to meet so many passionate fans about the Alien franchise and people that were super excited to meet me, which I thought was an honor just to be able to be there and meet all those amazing people. So yeah, it was super fun, and I would love to do more conventions. I love meeting people. I love talking with people, and, you know, getting to meet you, and here we are on this podcast now. So yeah, I loved every minute of it. Spooky Empire was super kind, and you know, I'm grateful for the opportunity, and hopefully there'll be more in the future.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you coming. Before we let you go, I got to ask, how many of them popcorn buckets did you get for Romulus?
So I have this guy. I've got the one based on Romulus. I've got the face hugger big containment unit one that's over here sitting down, and then I've got the other alien xenomorph head. I didn't get the bucket with the face hugger on the side of it. That's the only one I don't have, but I have pretty much every other one of them, and I might have a couple other ones. And then I have the Funkos. I'm still waiting on my NECA figure still. I haven't gotten my Scorched figure yet, but my collection, I got given this yesterday, which was really cool at the speech I did. So that's fun. And VHS, Alien on VHS. So
still wrapped up, still in its plastic.
Yeah, I was given this. I was out in Oregon the past couple weeks shooting a film, and somebody gave me these, like, they're unopened official Alien trading cards from the first film.
Wow.
So that's really cool to have. So yeah, I'm running out of space. I'm gonna have to get some more shelves throughout the house here to keep track of everything.
These popcorn buckets are getting out of control.
They really are. It's cool though. It's fun because
they're great. Yeah.
The ones for Nosferatu, the coffin looks so cool, and then the Gladiator one was the big Colosseum. I love it. It's. I think it's also giving incentive for people to go to the movies too, which is awesome. So
for sure, absolutely. Well, we're going to wrap things up a little bit here. We really, really appreciate your time. Can you talk about, the future? Like, what's next for Trevor Newlin? Any projects you want to shout out for our audience? I know you obviously can't talk about the next Alien film that was just announced, but have you at least been contacted for it? I mean, can you say that?
I mean, no, I haven't. Nothing yet. I found out about it just the same time everybody else did that it's going to be happening. I would love to be a part of it. I loved my experience on Romulus. Every second of it was incredible, and getting to work with Legacy Effects and Fede Alvarez and his whole team was amazing. And if they'll allow me to come back for the sequel, whatever that may be, whenever that may be, and whatever that may be titled, I would love the opportunity to do that. I have a film coming out next year in theaters. I can't talk too much about yet. I just wrapped a film that probably will come out as well next year. And then I've got a couple projects lined up to shoot early next year. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming. Nothing I can talk about yet, but some very exciting stuff on the horizon that when I can talk about will be very exciting to share.
Are they horror? Are they horror movies? Can you say that?
Two are, one isn't.
Nice.
Love it. Okay. You want to shout out your Instagram or anywhere that we can follow you?
Yeah. I mean, I do most of my social media on Trevor_Newlin. That's my Instagram. It's Trevor with a little underscore and then Newlin. That's the best place to follow me. It's where I do pretty much all of my posting of whatever I'm going to be up to or what's going on. So yeah, if you want to check it out and see some behind the scenes stuff and whatever else is going on in my interesting life, you can check it out there.
Thank you very much.